Welcome to eSIM Studios. Well, we have some late breaking news that literally just got announced here in the tech world, and this news is not only going to reverberate and carry through the tech industry. This news will carry through the remainder of the world. We will know November 16th, 2023, a day to remember. Today, Apple announced that they are going to support RCS messaging. Yes, the great divide that has separated iPhone and Android are going to get married. So, Apple announced today that they plan on implementing RCS rich communication services into iMessage. Now, there's a catch. It's not going to be immediate. It's going to be in late 2024, next year, probably around this time. Actually, you know what? We're going to get into it here shortly because I have some. I was doing some thinking. The news broke basically about an hour or two ago, and I wanted to do some deep diving. And instead of just announcing it, I wanted to actually put some thought into it and do some research real quick to give you a full. I don't want to record, stop. We'll put this out here and put this all together in one video. Yeah, so Apple has announced that they are going to integrate RCS messaging, and I know a lot of my subscribers are Android users. As you could tell, the green screen kind of messes my shirt up, but we are Team Pixel here, and RCS is for iPhone users. RCS is the messaging system platform brains behind Android messages, sort of like what iMessage is to iPhone. Google Messages runs on rich communication services. Like back in the day, it was SMS texting. Well, this is if SMS text messaging was 4G, RCS, what we have now, is basically 5G, right? It's the next generation rich communication services. And now it basically provides everything that iMessage does. Messaging between two Android phones is like messaging between two iPhones. You get read text, so we can tell if another Android user has read our message. We can tell if they are typing. They can tell if we are typing. If we read their messages, two Android users that use Google Messages and RCS communication can send clear, detailed, high definition photos, high definition, clear videos, all sorts of stuff, right? Just like iMessage. But Apple has held on to the iMessage code and the iMessage system, atmosphere, whatever you want to call it, for dear life. Now, in recent times, it's interesting because I literally this morning put out a video before I knew this was coming out. This news, I put out a video. There was a new study that came out that surveyed teenagers from ages 13 to 19, and in that survey, where they surveyed. Now, this was a survey done, like I said, of teenagers around the country. It wasn't just in one part of the country, and just in the U.S. So they got teenagers on the West Coast, East Coast, down south, and I think up in the Midwest. A good number. So it wasn't a concentrated group. They wanted to get the vibe of teenagers all around the country. 88% of teenagers in the country either have an iPhone currently or plan on getting an iPhone as their next iPhone. And the two main reasons, after they answered that question, they asked, well, why? And the two answers was FaceTime and iMessage. So that goes to show you, look, iPhone has a large market share here in the U.S. Outside the U.S., is predominantly Android, but that number could shrink And also we had put out a video yesterday. If you want more information, very very cool news, and that I was excited about, and I had no idea this was coming down the pike here in the following day. So yesterday or 2 days ago, the Nothing company, who looks like an iPhone, but it's certainly not an iPhone. Um, Nothing, who makes the Nothing Phone 2, Carl Pei, the owner of Nothing, announced that they were going to be supporting iMessage. That was huge news. Like my brain exploded, as a lot of people's did, right? It's like, holy shit, I cannot believe this. Really, honestly, groundbreaking news, right? Technology. Well, Nothing paired with Sunbird. Sunbird is a website, an app that figured out how to not necessarily hack the system, but they figured out how to integrate this app, this messaging, and Nothing worked with Nothing developers, worked with the Sunbird app developers to use that same system, right? They're just bypassing the gap between Android RCS and Apple iMessage. And if you want to get into the details of how they did it, I probably won't get into it too detailed here because this is about RCS and iMessage. But they basically circumvented, found a way around the Great Divide, and it was completely illegal. There no, no funny business going on. It was an honest. We looked into the details, and I break down exactly how they did it. So, how many times? Look, there's been a ton of pressure on Apple to accept RCS. As I stated, Apple's been holding on to it because they know that's one of the reasons why their users stay with iPhone. That's one of the reasons it's not only high in demand, but it's one of the reasons why the next smartphone, there's a good chance in America that smartphone is going to be an iPhone. And so Apple has not wanted this in the past. In fact, I remember quoting an Apple engineer. I believe it's not Tim Cook. It is, they sit on the board, but he said last year, I quote, over my dead body. Over my dead body is what he said when it comes to Apple integrating RCS with iMessage. Now, if you're not familiar with the history of iMessage and Android messages, it goes back, God, years, probably 10 years, maybe more than that. I believe since 2011 is when iMessage was first introduced. So we're talking roughly 12, 13, probably about going on 13 years. And this has been a major hassle, and there's been so much outcry and pressure, and even Google has has really turned the pressure up on Apple because we're going into 2024. We're going to Mars, like all this cool technology is just sprouting out of everywhere you look. There's just cool new tech, right? There's no reason why, when I have a Google Pixel 8 Pro or a Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra or a Nothing Phone 2, which now I won't have to mention that, but there's no reason why, and I guarantee this affects so many households. An Android user like myself, messages my daughter, right? She's playing in the backyard, right? Like going on some like water slide or something, and I take a little 5-second video of her playing in the backyard on a water slide on her birthday or something, and then we take a little 5-second video clip and some extra 3-4 pictures, and let's say I want to send those pictures and that little video to my sister, and she has an iPhone, right? So let's say I have a Pixel 8 Pro and she's got an iPhone. So when I send those pictures to her, They don't come through. They come through, but they come through real shitty, like grainy. The video's super grainy. Um, the how many people watching know or have family members or in a office setting that have been excluded from group messaging simply because you have an Android, simply because they don't want it messes up the group messaging, right? It messes up the technology, all the messages in there, the read receipts aren't there, the typing receipt indicators aren't there, the pictures and videos and links and everything's jacked up because it could be six coworkers that are in a group messaging thread. Five of them have iPhones, but you have the one Android, and then you just because you have the Android, then you mess up the whole thread, and then you get excluded from even. Then they're like, you know what? Screw that. Well, he's got a droid. He's got a droid. I can't stand those people. The droid hasn't been used in like 8 years. That term it has been retired, right? It's Android. It's a Pixel. It's the nothing. It's a Samsung. It's not a droid. So, anyways, how many of y'all have been excluded from group messaging from this great divide of iMessage and Android messages or RCS messaging? This is huge news in the tech world. I cannot tell you how just out of left field this. Look, just in these 2 last days, and we're gonna get into this. Just in the last 2 days, nothing says, "Oh, we're our phone too." We figured, we're gonna create this bridge, and Nothing Phone 2 is gonna support iMessage and vice versa, right? So on the iPhones end, they're not gonna have to download or do anything. It's just when you message somebody from a Nothing Phone 2 here starting tomorrow, to an iPhone, it'll look like on their end it's an iPhone, right? You no more green bubbles. You'll get the blue bubbles. You get the read indicators. You'll get the clear videos. You get the clear messages, clear pictures. And then today we get the news. So Nothing announces that yesterday. Whoa. And then today we get this. Whoa. So it's like, whoa, what the hell is going on? I mean, we welcome it. So Apple, I have trolled y'all for so long, and I'm gonna add Apple. I'm gonna add all parties involved. But I know, honestly, without all jokes aside, Apple, I sincerely now look, y'all probably deserved it, right? I love to troll iPhone users and Apple users and iOS users. Y'all deserved it because it shouldn't have taken this long. Excuse me, I'm getting choked up. Oh my god, I'm so happy. I've trolled y'all for so long, but all jokes aside, I honestly want to thank you. I'm not even trying to be funny. I honestly want to thank you for doing this. You're gonna make millions, and this number's not exaggerated. Millions and it's not just iPhone users; it's Android users as well. You're gonna make millions of people. This headache will go away. This great divide is just gonna vanish in the air like Thanos snapped his fingers. It's just gonna float away in dust. So honestly, thank you very much. Thank you. I'm dead serious. I really really appreciate y'all doing this. Now it makes you wonder, why did they choose to do this now? Like why, right? If an Apple exec, I think of a year or two ago, mentioned over my dead body, we're never going to integrate this. And honestly, it feels like as an Android user, I had to use an iPhone for a work phone for 3 or 4 years, like 2 years ago, and it's just not me, right? Apple's just not for me. I don't like they make really good looking phones. I'm not gonna lie, I really like their phones, but iOS, not for me. Makes you wonder why they chose to do this. And I think the pressure was basically at an all-time high. Again, this has gone on for way too long. Now, they could have held on and could have not integrated RCS for, I guess, technically as long as they wanted to. But Google has been trolling them in the in the PR world, in the advertising world. Um, and Google actually is pairing up now. I guess they won't anymore now with this news. As of last week, we reported on it. The EU basically forced Apple's hand into switching to a USB Type C in their iPhones. Right, all the European countries have a European Union, and they said you cannot. All the electronic devices sold in Europe, in any Europe country, have to have USB Type C charging. And iPhone did not. And they said if you want to sell your iPhones over here in Europe, it has to have USB Type C, or you're not gonna be able to sell them over here. And that is a huge chunk of Apple's customers in Europe, all of Europe. So what Apple do now? Now that wasn't supposed to take effect till 2025, I believe, or 2024. Anyways, Apple did it a year early, 2024. Apple did it a year early because it was going to be iPhone 16. We were thinking that was going to have USB Type C. They jumped the gun and said, "What the hell? Let's just include it right now." But it makes you wonder why now. Well, Google saw how the EU basically forced Apple's hand into getting USB Type C implemented on their devices. And the EU, a couple months or a month or 6 weeks ago, filed a new lawsuit in saying against Apple. I don't know, a lawsuit or filed something, right? I don't know what their laws are, their court systems like over there. They did some motion, the same motion that they did with the USB Type C. They are doing now, and they filed it, but like I said, they'll probably withdraw it. But as of last week, the news came out that the EU, alongside with Google, is going to file a motion to make Apple implement RCS into iMessage, because look, everybody's fed up with this, right? Look, most people I know have Android. That's just how my immediate family, my household have Android. My parents have Android. My grandparents have Android. Just my sister, and then 2 people that I record podcasts with have an iPhone. So it's like 3 people that I communicate with. So it's not a huge deal for me, but trust me, I know how it is, because again, this is going back for what, 12, 13 years. Like in the dating world, I know it's a big hassle. I'm married, but I'm saying, like, if you date somebody, I've heard those. We've all heard those stories where some girl doesn't want to date you because you have an Android and she has an iPhone. Just stupid stuff like that shouldn't matter, right? Like, it's just so dumb that we're at this point, but it will go away. But before we get into the details, how long am I running? 18 minutes. Okay, I'm gonna try to get this quick, but I do want to put this in real fast before we get to the proof and screen share. But hang on, just let me get this out. Pressure. I think Google's route with the EU that was filed last week, and the Carl Pay and nothing announcement yesterday, saying, look, if y'all aren't telling Apple, look, if y'all aren't going to implement this, we're going to do something about it. So Carl Pay's found a way with Sunbird to circumvent the barrier that iMessage has put up, and found a way around it. And kudos to them. You can go watch the previous video. I'll probably link it in the description below. But again, hats off to Nothing, to Carl Pay, and to Sunbird, the Sunbird app. I'll download that down below. Now, probably puts them out of business, but they can turn into a messaging app, right? That's what they are, a messaging app. You can still download Sunbird and use them, right? So, but I think they were feeling the pressure. I think yesterday in a boardroom meeting, trust me, they know, their eyes, they're watching this channel. I at them in a ton of my videos, not only Apple, but their PR team and some people inside Apple. So I guarantee you somebody's seen one of my videos. I'm not saying I had anything to do with this. I'm just saying, look, I'm trying to put the pressure on them too. Like, I think they felt the pressure. And yesterday with Carl Pay announcing and Nothing and Sunbird announcing that we're just going to circumvent it and basically find our own route to integrate these two, because it is so stupid. Again, I hate to repeat myself, but I guarantee you 100 out of 100 people watching this agree. It's dumb, right? Why an iPhone user and a Android user should not have these messaging issues. So I think they felt the pressure. I think yesterday they went into some meeting and they're like, "Oh, great, the tech industry, the disruptor, right? Yes, Carl Pay disrupts the whole industry." It had to have it absolutely. You can't tell me Carl Pay announcing this yet their announcement yesterday that nothing's going to support iMessage. You cannot tell me that that did not have something to do with this. Google forcing teaming up with the EU in filing this motion against Apple last week in the courts in Europe. You can't tell me that did not have did not play a part in this decision. So I think Apple went into the boardroom yesterday, some big meeting, and was like, "Oh, well, nothing's gonna have it, gonna do it." Because look, legally, I looked into it too. There's nothing they can do legally. The way Sunbird and Nothing are going to connect these iMessage and Nothing chat, their messaging, which is Android and RCS. There's nothing Apple can do. They can't sue them. They can't legally do anything. It's a honest legal workaround through the system. I just think they felt the pressure and had a meeting yesterday and were like, "Look, nothing's going to have this. Sunbird app knows how to get around it. EU is going to tell us, hey, if you can't implement RCS, you can't into iMessage, you can't sell iPhones over here." So they're probably like, you know what, now's the time. So again, hats off to Apple. I thank you. Now, what's interesting is I don't honestly. They were holding on to iMessage so tight in like FaceTime, so tight. I honestly don't think that it's going like iPhone users, then the people that want an iPhone, like that survey that they did with those teenagers. Look, and what's ironic is that survey just came out a day or two ago. A big survey, big company. That's all they do is work with marketing and PR teams for these Fortune 500 companies behind the scenes. Did an independent study. Apple didn't pay for it. It was a third-party independent study. That study, that now that I just think about it, came out a couple days ago as well. So, look, I don't think it makes that much of a difference, right? An iPhone user is going to want to buy an iPhone. It's not solely, sure, they say that, but they're not. Look, those teenagers, if you go ask the same teenagers again today that you asked last week, they're all going to say the same thing. Even if you said, well, Android messages and iMessages are going to start working, are going to start working together, that's not going to make a difference. They're going to be like, okay, so I still want an iPhone. See what I'm saying? So I don't think it makes that big of a difference, because just because they're going to integrate this doesn't make me want to go get an iPhone. I love my Androids, right? I love my Nothing phone. I love my Samsung. I love my Pixel, all for different reasons. I have no urge to get an iPhone, right? So, and I think iPhone users feel the same way. And that's what I think Apple finally realized, that the same thing that I just described, right? Like their iPhone users are going to use iPhone because they like iPhone, and Android users are going to use Android because they like Android. So let me get into this real quick. So let's get into the actual publication. This was the news that came out. Apple gets the message. RCS is coming to iPhone in 2024 with same universal profile as Android. So now what I don't know is real quick. What I don't know, we'll go back to that, but hang on. But what I don't know is how the bubble thing is going to work out. Now, Apple can still kind of stick it to the Android users by, it'll still be a green dot or a green bubble or whatever you want to call it, but you're not going to have the grainy photos. And you will have read receipts. So I think everything will, for iPhone users, I think everything will be the same, like messaging another iPhone user, as far as the read receipts. You can see the typing indicators. And I'm talking about messaging an Android user. I just think they'll probably keep the green bubble. But who knows? They might just switch everything to blue. But I'm assuming they'll keep it green just to say, yeah, well, they still have an Android, but you'll still get all the benefits of all the other crap that integrating this is going to entail. So let's go back here real quick. It says they've announced RCS support in the iPhone and a great boost to Android iOS messaging. Specifically, the iPhone will be updated to support RCS Universal Profile from the GSM Association. This is a worldwide association. In a future iOS release later next year, SMS remains as a fallback when RCS isn't available. RCS Rich Communication Services, which I just described, is like an upgraded next-gen SMS. This simply works by let's see. Yeah, RCS features typing indicators, just like iOS. This works by uploading to the cloud, and then the recipient gets a randomized URL that simply loads the video and image. Group messaging has been improved with better controls. Yeah. Let's see. And it will be encrypted. It looks like the messaging from from Android user to iPhone user. It looks like it will be encrypted. Let's see here. Let me go back. I got off of my screen share. It says Apple's rolling out RCS Universal Profile support to the iPhone in 2024 and did not share many implementation details today, such as iOS could very well keep displaying messages from Android devices, like I said, with green bubbles. I'm assuming they're still going to do that just because it's Apple, right? So they want the iPhone user to know that it's still an Android you're talking to. But whatever. I mean, I can't really complain at this point. But so I'm going to link this article in the description box so y'all can check out all this. And also, I'm also going to link this stuff. Check it out. Here's the I also wanted to, for all the iPhone users out there that are not familiar with RCS, again, it's just like the same as iMessage. It's just a different service or communication service, but for Android. However, for the iPhone users watching, I am going to link basically what is RCS messaging, just for those of y'all like me that like to dig into more technical terms. Probably running this video a little too long, but it is a big moment in the tech world today. So if you iPhone users want to dive into or just want to look a little bit deeper, what is RCS messaging, I'll link some info in the description box for you. And then for Android users, if you're wondering the same thing, well, what's the history of iMessage and what does that entail and how does that work? I'll have a link for you down in the description box. I'm going to link what is iMessage and how does it work and what's the history of it. I've really looked into this, so it would make a 20-minute video go to like an hour, and I don't want that. I posted an hour video yesterday, and I was like, oh my god, like it's too long. But what else we got? Oh yeah, when was iMessage? Okay, so anyways, there's just some behind the scenes stuff, but go look in the description box. I'll have everything you need to know as far as the OG original article that announces this. And then I will put, like I said, so I'll put this one. Shout out to 9 to 5 Google. I will credit y'all as the source in the description box. And then I'll link, I'll find a link here. What is RCS messaging right there? And then for the Android users that want more info on iMessage, I'll find a link over here somewhere that describes a nice description of iMessage and how it works. So I do appreciate the time. Big news. Again, they announced, yes, we will support it. We will implement it into iMessage. It's not going to be implemented probably for about another 10 months. They said late 2024. Which times up with the iPhone 16 release and iOS 18 release. So we still have another 10 months to go, but good news, it was announced. They are going to support it. And So I'm assuming they're gonna make a big announcement. Um, or no, sorry, they've already announced it, but I assume they're going to actually physically implement it. They said in a software update, so I'm assuming that's what iOS 18 is going to encompass is RCS messaging into all iPhones, and I guess in iPads too, right? Because you can iMessage. Yeah, from an iPad or a MacBook, so that'll be interesting. Maybe I didn't think about that. Maybe I'll do another video on that, but, that should work too. So again, late 2024, about another 10 months when iOS I'm assuming this is not official, but I'm guessing iOS 18, they'll implement it with iOS 18, right around, September of next year, something like that. So now in the meantime, if you still want to message, you can message. You don't have to wait 10 months, right? If you want an Android phone, if you cannot use an iPhone like me, but you're an Android user and you want to take advantage of messaging, an iPhone user with iMessage and all the benefits of iMessage, we have a special something for you, a special phone that will support iMessage starting tomorrow, Friday, November 17th. Again, the Nothing Phone 2 tomorrow will support. They're releasing their Nothing Chats, which is their messaging app, and it has RCS integrated, and it also works with iMessage. So again, we did a video on it, so go back yesterday, check it out. But it will support iMessage, all the read receipts, all the clear photos, clear videos, read write indicators, all that. It's a go starting tomorrow. So it will be available tomorrow on the Nothing Phone 2. Also, you can also download the Sunbird app. I'm going to link that in the description box. Now, they do have a wait list. It's like in beta form, but I signed up like 10 months ago and was accepted, I think like 6 months ago. But I don't really use it. So, anyways, I will link all of that for you in the description box. And what the hell? I will put a uh, link if you want to buy a Nothing Phone 2 and start using messaging iPhone users from an Android and it actually work starting tomorrow. I'll put a link so you can buy one of these and get started so you don't have to wait 10 months. But appreciate the time, and we will see you on the next one.